1, fight top.
What's up, everybody? It's Monday. I'm Mover, and I've got a special interview for you tonight. I'm excited about this because Spike is awesome. Good friend of mine from the Two-Foots. We were just flying T-38s together. You saw that we did the Finney flight. Very sad, but new opportunities. And tonight we're going to talk about Dwayne Spike Booker's story on how he became a fighter pilot and his new venture, Straighten Up Fly Right. You can see the link in the description. Check that out. It is a pretty awesome cause, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But before we go any further, let's add Spike to the stream. Here we are. Spike, good evening, sir. Hello. How are you? Welcome. Uh-oh.
I think I lost
Are
you.
you running? There we go. How about now? You got me? Oh. It's not a Monday with Mover without some level of something going on. Huh. Okay. Well, we hear you fine. If you can hear me.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. We will improvise, adapt, and overcome. Oh, that's so funny. You hear me okay? Will this work for you?
Yes. Yeah, you're much better now.
Okay. All right. Spike, how'd you become a fighter pilot?
Awesome.
Oh, wrong way.
So, I grew up in Georgia, and when I was younger, before my brother and sister were born, one of the things that my parents used to do was take me down to Hartsfield, Atlanta airport. And back before 9/11, you know that you could just go through security, didn't necessarily need a ticket. And there were multiple viewing areas because it was a large airport. And they would take me there just for free entertainment, essentially. And I was one of the kids with their forehead plastered to the glass watching the big jets. And from that point on, I think I knew that I wanted to do something aviation related. And that's kind of the first time that I knew that I loved aviation. And then, of course, as I'm growing up, Top Gun, right? I had the Top Gun VHS, and I probably wore that tape out. I mean, I'd watch it like twice a day while I was younger, and it just stuck. You know, then came the Legos and the models. I would build the models, and you know, I really enjoyed everything aviation.
Did anybody in your family fly? I mean, did you have any pilots in your family?
No, nope. I'm the first and only pilot. So a bunch of military. So I kind of knew the military was an option. My dad was in the Marines, and then I have uncles and cousins, and I mean we span all the branches. However, no officers. They were all enlisted. So not only the first pilot, but the first officer in the family.
Wow, wow. So, what was your progression like? Did you take any lessons or anything? I mean, how did you get to officer training school or ROTC or what'd you do from that?
Sure, sure. It's actually a really funny story. So I basically just happened into becoming a fighter pilot. So I knew at a young age that I wanted to do something involved in aviation. I wanted to be around airplanes, whether I was going to be working on them, designing them, but I never really knew that being a pilot was an option for me. So, I'm coming up and going through school. I liked math. Math seemed pretty easy for me going through, like junior high and high school. So I tested up in a lot of my math and science classes. And then I was talking to one of my counselors and telling her kind of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go to school. And I think the first setback that I had was I told her that I wanted to go to Georgia Tech to be an engineer downtown. And she was kind of like, well, I don't know if that'd be a good fit for you. So I didn't even apply based on the recommendation from my guidance counselor. So I just applied to some other schools. And then I ended up going to Morehouse College downtown in Atlanta. And then when I got in, I saw that they had a dual degree engineering program, essentially. So I was a dual degree major, physics and aerospace engineering. And my freshman year, I'm walking through the dorm, and I see a guy that has on an Air Force ROTC shirt with an airplane, and I'm kind of like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this Air Force thing over at Georgia Tech, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of where I wanted to go in the first place. And then the dual degree for physics was at Morehouse, but then at Georgia Tech, I actually would have went to get the aerospace engineering, so I would have ended up at Georgia Tech. So it's almost like all roads were leading me there anyway. So he takes me over to the Air Force ROTC detachment, and I start talking to them, and they're like, you're a dual degree physics aerospace major, you like airplanes, why do you not want to be a pilot? And my reaction was like, is that even an option? Yes, please sign me up. So they start talking to me about it. So I lose one of the degrees. I lose the aerospace engineering degree, and I just stick with physics. I gain the Air Force ROTC, and then I immediately go to my parents, and I'm like, hey, I think I want to go into the Air Force. I want to be a pilot. And I start, I'm so excited. I'm telling them that I need to start my PPL flying lessons like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that was my yes moment for me in my life, which was a big pivot. But my parents were they saw my passion, and they said yes, essentially. So I think that moment of the Air Force ROTC recruiter talking to me and just giving me the confidence that it's something I can do, and then taking that to my parents, they could have very easily said no, and then I would have had to pivot and try to get there another path. But they essentially said yes. Let's see what it's about. You seem pretty passionate about it. So then we went up to Lanier Flight Center at PDK Airport, and they're saying, they're giving us all the information to get a pilot license, right? Because this is brand new. I don't know anything about it. I've done the research up to this point, and I know what I'm getting into, but the specifics, right? So they're like, it's 40 hours minimum. They're telling me the minimums, and I look at my dad, and I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to waste your money, so I'm gonna do it in the minimum. And then the guy laughs. He kind of laughs at me, and he's like, yeah, I mean, I've got like doctors and lawyers here, and they're pushing like 70 hours, and they're nowhere near ready to get their license. And I looked at my dad, and I'm like, I can do it. I'm dedicated. So, fast forward 42 hours later, I'm flying back from South Carolina with my PPO solo, and I get back into the flight center and just show them, and they're kind of like, wow.
It's 42 hours. That is awesome, dude. Hey, real quick before we keep going, for your comfort, I was going to suggest that you hook your phone up to your earbuds so you don't have to hold it up the whole time. Okay. That might make it easier because it looks like it's going to be uncomfortable for a little while.
All right, give me a second.
And while he does that, I'll see what the chat's up to.
Okay, how's that?
Sounds great. Sounds great. You hear me better? You hear me okay still?
Yeah.
Oh, nope.
It's trying to hook back up to my iPad. Okay, can you hear me?
I hear you. You hear me?
Perfect. We're good.
Yeah, so now you don't have to hold it because I'm like...
It's already sore.
I do know you. I know. Were you an athlete in college or high school?
I was. I played basketball and ran track in high school, but I gave up sports in college to pursue Air Force and flying and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, so 42 hours. I mean, what was the most difficult part of flying? The initial flying part. Was it easy because of your physics and engineering background, or did it take a little bit of, hey, this is a little bit challenging?
It was, no, initially, I think because of the technical background, it came a little bit easier. And then also it meshed well, right? So now I'm in class learning, mechanics and all this stuff. And I'm thinking about it from an aviation perspective. So in general, it wasn't too big. Awesome. It was the time, and it's something I wanted to do. So the studying and, taking the lessons 4 or 5 times a week was it kept it fresh.
Yeah, for sure. We got a comment from the Peanut Gallery that says, you guys fly T-38s, nothing should be comfortable. So he already knows the thing. So How did the scholarship and pilot selection process work when you were there? Was it pretty competitive?
Yes, it was. However, when I did a little bit more research, I found out that Georgia Tech actually does really well when it comes to pilot selection. So they typically do 90% or greater. So
Wow.
yeah, I was pretty fortunate
Wow.
to be there. I just needed to check all the containers to make sure that I could put myself in a position to be in that 90%, which I think the year before me it was a 100%. My year it was 90%. And then actually, I think the 2 years before me, it was 100%. So, because of like I just said, with the technical background, the Air Force, from Georgia Tech, they pull the engineers in because just about everybody there is studying something technical.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So, from there, where'd you end up going to pilot training?
So from there, I got orders to Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna do the pilot training. So I got there. Let's see, probably I was casual for maybe 5 months or so, and I mean,
Really?
yeah, and I was pretty hungry,
Wow.
so I was sneaking into the sims and studying that -1 and doing everything possible. Some of the sim instructors will come in and be like, "Are you in here again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll leave if you want me to. No big deal." And they're like, "Just shut it off when you're done." So
But dude, that goes to your work ethic. I mean, up to this point, everything has been about you're working towards a common goal. You're just trying to be the best you can be, which I think is, that's incredible. So did you get to fly at all in the back seat for any of the casual time, or did they say
no,
no?
no, there was no flying as casuals. We didn't fly at all. So the only time that I flew prior to UPT was when I was a cadet at Georgia Tech. And they had this summer program where you can go out and you would be attached to operational unit, and I went to Warner Robins, and then we took a trip down to Moody, and that's when the 49th IFF squadron and
Oh
UPT
yeah.
was down at Moody. So that was the first and only T-38 ride I had prior to UPT.
Did you get sick?
No, nope,
No. So no issues at all, man. Just iron
no.
stomach, had a blast.
I've never been airsick.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so when you finally did get to the T-6, did all of that? I mean, were you like, "Hi, I got this. This is pretty much, I've been preparing my whole life for this," or how did that pre-prep help you?
Yeah, no, I did. So I got to the T6, and I was ready, right? It's like I'm gonna, man, but let me tell you, nothing can prepare you for that fire hose. So it is a very steep learning curve, and that's when the work ethic and the goals that you have set for yourself, setting goals, achieving goals. That's when all that comes into play. So it was a lot of hard work, and it didn't come easy at first. I think once you
Yeah.
get the few flights under your belt, then you're like, okay, I got this. But you got to get the nerves out of the way, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
luckily I was able to do that and do pretty well.
For sure. Did you have a pretty like tight knit class? Were you guys helping each other and cooperate to graduate, or was it kind of
Oh yeah,
competitive?
yeah. No, my class it was both, right? So the class was awesome. We worked together. We had study groups. I mean, we'd have a study group just about every week, multiple times a week. We were competitive, but it was like a healthy competitive. It wasn't like I'm not going to help you out so I can do
Right.
better. We pushed each other, and there was even a point where we knew that there may be only 3 T-38 slots, and there's 7 people that want them. And we knew that we weren't all going to go, but we were still helping each other out because
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. That's what it's all about.
That's that's
We became really tight friends and stuff. So
And you have to, because you'll maintain contact. I don't know about I mean, the rest of your career, rest of your life. I still keep in touch with people from my class. Um, did you want to be a fighter guy from the beginning? Like, did you have like, I want to go fly this aircraft, or just be a fighter pilot from the beginning, or were you like, I
from
just love flying?
from the beginning, I wanted to be a fighter
Really?
guy from the beginning. I knew when I walked in, you're sitting there on the first day, and the class commander asks, who wants to be a fighter pilot, and you get everybody that raised their hand. I was one of those. And then it's funny because they ask the same question after initial solo. It's like, who wants to be
Yeah.
a fighter pilot? And then there's like less hands.
Yeah.
We had one guy in the class that was like, no, I can't fly by myself.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm happy. I'm just happy to be here. You know
that's
that
right.
they always
That's right.
have that one. So you got obviously you got the T-38. What did you think? You know, transitioning from the T-6 to the T-38. You know, how big of a culture shock was that?
It was different because you
Yeah.
walk across the street, and the first thing that I noticed was, like you said, the culture, right? So it's, don't speak unless spoken to, yes or no answers, like before you even get in the jet. That's what they're instilling in you, right?
Yep.
The discipline of being a fighter pilot. So, it was kind of like, you're sitting there at attention, and but you're kind of trying not to smile because you're like, this is where I want to be. And then, of course, once you get into the jet, it's different. It's faster. It's less safe. You're flying on the edge.
Oh
So
yeah. Did you have the new seats or the old seats?
so I had the old seats. I started
Yeah,
off
me
with the
too.
old seats, and then halfway through they start switching the seats out. So it was very common to do a double turn. And my first
Really?
sortie, yeah, my first sortie I'd have the parachute on, and then my second
Oh,
sortie I'd have on the harness. So we have both.
wow.
Every student had both, and every instructor had both.
Wow. You know, I wouldn't mind double turning with the second harness, with just the harness, right? You know,
Right.
just nice and comfortable.
Hmm.
Um, was there any part of pilot training that you were like, man, this was really, the most difficult part? Like, did you have anything that was like, man, this part it took a minute to get?
Yeah. So I'll share my GLAC story with you. I actually I don't know if you know this, but I GLAC'd in
No, I
pilot
didn't.
training.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
What?
So I'll share that story now. So there's kind of a lot that goes into it. So my wife and I, so we got married in college. My wife, and she was a nurse, and the only job she could get at Columbus was night nursing. That's all they were hiring for. So my pilot training career, if you will, I was essentially going to fly and do school and everything during the day, and she was at home sleep with our newborn. We had a baby.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know
Wow.
where I'm going with this. So
Oh, wow.
so we had a baby right before we left Georgia, and I mean, we're
Oh
talking
no.
months old. So then I would get home and I would high five her. She'd go and do 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and I'm at
Oh,
home studying with the kid and all that stuff. So that was essentially us in a nutshell.
yeah.
That's how the Booker family starts off, right?
Oh, dude,
So
glutton for punishment there. You're
yeah,
not doing anything easy.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. um, so there's one day where I think my oldest daughter, her name is Briley. I think Briley's sick or something's going on. So I'm up all night, but I'm not on the schedule to fly the next day. And I'm supposed to be widow or RSU recorder or some ground duty. And I didn't sleep, didn't really eat. All I've had is some coffee, kind of tired. And it's a weather day or something like that. And there's fallout, right? You know how this goes. You know the
Oh,
story. It's
yeah.
like, hey, we need somebody who can fly. And they start looking at the grade books, and it's like, Booker, you could go do an I ride or something like that. And I'm just like, of course, it's pilot training, right? I'm not going to say no.
No one says no in pilot training.
No one
Yes.
says
Yeah.
no, right?
Unfortunately, that's correct.
So, I do what everybody does. I strap up, I get in the seat, take off. We go up, and it wasn't an I ride because we were going to do a GX. It was something else. And then literally, I do the first turn in the GX, and I'm gone. And I have an instructor in the back seat,
Oh,
and
no.
we watched the tapes when I got back. It's like 3 seconds, like literally.
Oh, man.
I G-lock. He asked me a question, and I answer his question. Like, it was that quick. And that was
Wow.
a big confidence. That shook me in terms
Yeah.
of my confidence, right? Because I'm like, oh man. But
Yeah.
it took a lot for me to understand that your body gets a vote also.
Yeah,
So
for
even if
sure.
you're
Human
sharp up
factors.
here, yeah, you can be sharp, you can know all the answers, and you can study. But man, if you're not sleeping and eating and flying these ejection seat aircraft, um,
Yeah.
it can put you to sleep.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I mean, what was the fallout from that? I mean, did they put you like on cap or something and say, hey, this guy's, we got to
Yep.
watch him now, which
I went
highlights
on.
you? And
I went on cap. It was a safety incident, so I did the safety interview, and that's when obviously it that's when they got to look into my life and it's like, so wait a minute, your
Yeah.
wife works nights? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you got a kid at home? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how long have you been doing this? And I'm like, since the beginning.
Forever. Yeah.
Forever.
Forever. That's not normal?
Yeah.
No, you don't do that?
Right. You know, and when's the last time you ate? What'd you eat in the last 36 hours? You know, the standard questions.
Popcorn.
Right.
Nice question. Yeah. With
Yeah.
bacon.
Right. On Fridays. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's bacon. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I
it's
mean, that's got to put a lot of stress on you, because now, I mean, now you, because you know, everybody through pilot training is just sitting there going, I just want to get through this. Yeah, I don't want to be on the radar. So, I mean, how did you deal with that stress and that, you know, and because you obviously did well. So, how did you kind of overcome that?
Sure. So they sent me back to the centrifuge, and I got some academics on, you know, just going through all that stuff, and really
Yeah.
looking back on it, I think it was just to help boost my confidence.
Right.
I actually was really worried that I was
Mm-hmm.
going to get kicked out of pilot training because that happened. So
Wow.
yeah,
Or sent to heavies, I guess. I mean, that seems like that might have been a higher threat thing too, than going, hey, look, you know, wow.
yeah, but luckily they gave me another shot, if you will, and talking to them afterwards, there was no threat of me being kicked out or anything like that.
That's
That
good.
you know how the things
Oh,
go
yeah.
through your mind, and you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
your own worst enemy and all that other type
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. How did your classmates, I mean, were they pretty, I mean, obviously, you know, usually pretty supportive. I mean, did they kind of help push you through it?
absolutely, yep,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
absolutely.
So from there, you ended up T6 IP. How did that for drop night and stuff? How did that all work?
Yeah, so you're gonna see here as we talk about my career, the trend for my career is trying to move my family as little as possible. So T6 Vape was my number one choice,
Really?
and that was
Okay.
primarily
Just to stay, yeah, stay
yep,
local.
yep. Brittany is medical. We got the young kid. We're both from Georgia. She's an Army brat, but pretty much grew up in Georgia. So that we're close to family with the kids, and we'll at that point just my one daughter. So it just kind of made sense. Both my parents are from Mississippi, so a lot of our extended family is in Mississippi. So that was my number one choice to stay, and I ended up getting the T6 Vape.
So how did you like teaching? You know, you're a brand new lieutenant and you're teaching, you know, other lieutenants. I mean, how did you feel about that dynamic?
Yeah, no, you know what? I loved it. Teaching is something that I love. It's still to this day. And I think just becoming a FAPE early just helped me to understand how much I liked it. It also helped me to understand the different methods to teach different people, you know, and UPT, you literally have people from every continent just about. So
Yeah.
communication skills, you know, you talk to one person one way, and then you go try to instruct another person, and they're not getting it. So now you have to switch it up until you achieve that light bulb moment, which was awesome as an instructor to see somebody get that light bulb moment, whether it was something academic or something flying, but you helped them get
Yeah.
over that hump.
Do you feel like your incident, you know, gave you a little bit more maturity and kind of empathy for kind of what they were going through as students?
I think so. I think it did.
Yeah.
You know, it humbled me really, really quickly. So, you know, to be a young lieutenant going in with my own struggles through pilot training, I think when I saw others that had their struggles, it helped me relate, whether they knew what happened to me or not.
Right.
It helped me relate to them, you know, and then they can obviously sense that that's genuine.
Yeah, that's awesome. And having flown with you, I know you're probably an awesome. You're probably one of the favorite IPs, I'm guessing, just because of your demeanor and you know how big picture I'm sure you were back then as you are today. Yeah. So how long did you do that, and what was next for you after being a FAPE?
Yeah, sure. So essentially 2012 to 2016, so about 4 years, give or take a few months. Um, I was a FAPE. I ended my FAPE tour being a class commander. So again, you know, trying to mentor the lieutenants as a captain. I was a captain then when I ended.
Yeah.
And then, so I essentially left the flying squadron and was a class commander in the student squadron, and I was attached. And in the student squadron, the squadron commander was a Strike Eagle, previous Strike Eagle pilot. The DO was a previous Strike Eagle pilot.
Oh,
And
wow.
you see where I'm going with this.
Trend item here.
And
Yeah.
the ADO was a previous Strike Eagle
Yeah.
pilot. And we'd be sitting around, I'd be hearing their stories and some of the things they've done and the places they went.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That sounds so the F-15E was my number one choice coming out of the F8, and
not too far from home. I mean, that's not too far from, Georgia.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So the FTU was at Seymour Johnson in North Carolina. So went there, and
did they send you back to the Fuge? Did you have to go do a 9G ride or 8.5G ride?
No. Or? So I mean, I went back again. I passed the Fuge the first time. Went back and passed it again. But for the Strike Eagle, that's all you needed to do.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So, tell me about transition of that beast. How'd you like flying a real fighter for the first time in your career?
I remember my dollar ride like it was yesterday. It was like October of 2016, and I mean it was pretty sweet. I kept remembering, I'm on the nose of this airplane, right? And during the flight, I'm looking behind me, and there's just so much fighter jet. And it was surreal. I'm like, I am flying this thing. You look behind you and you see like the Cadams and all this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is sick.
Yeah, and you sit high. You're sitting high when you're taxiing out. You're just dude. That's awesome. So I mean, first time lighting the afterburner, man. Did you guys do any kind of unrestricted takeoff or anything cool like that?
I think we did. I do remember, the T-38 has afterburner, but I do remember lighting. Allegedly. I'm still waiting for him to kick in.
Just hope one of them kicks in. I mean, whatever.
That's right. So, sitting on the runway, I remember the first time we pushed the power up and, like, no kidding, being pressed back into the seat and just, trying to not giggle.
Yeah, dude, there's that. Yeah, in the Viper, they're like, you got to say yeehaw. If you don't say, in the sim, they're like, you got to say yeehaw right now. I'm like, really?
You got to say yeehaw, yeah.
So, I mean, now you're. When did they start pairing you with a Wizzo? After your Form 8? Is that when you started learning the crew concept?
Yes. Well, actually, early on. So because you already do sims, right? So we're doing sims in academics, and academics I think it was about 6 months long. All in all, the Strike Eagle B course, I think it's one of the longest ones. So, you show up and then you start going through academics, and then when you hit the sim, you are paired up with a Wizzo.
No kidding. So someone else going through like a B course is like a student Wizzo?
Yeah, so it's student pilot and student Wizzo. I think total in my class we had 16. So, it's 1-on-1, you're paired up. So even when we go to the sim initially, like our first sim, it's like switchology. Like, this is how you turn on the radio. It's two people in the sim.
So you feel like Top Gun. It's you and Goose.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
So
was the sim 2-seat too?
I mean, 2-seat. You got in your own sim bay and they got in their sim bay, but it's linked up. It's like I couldn't turn around and see the person.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. So you get through that, and then what were your first assignments? Just stay in there, so that gives you some continuity. Is that how it played out?
That's right. So at this point, my wife goes back to grad school, becomes a nurse practitioner, and I request to stay at Seymour Johnson, and she's working on base in the med group. So we stay at Seymour, and I go to the Chiefs, the 335th.
We got a comment. So proud of you, Booker. This is great.
Hey, thanks.
And Brittany says we love you. So you've got a fan base, and thanks Bradley for let's see, this amazing stories as always. So as we continue, I just wanted to wampum. There we go. There's the wampum punch. So tell me about flying the Strike Eagle operationally, man. What was that what was your time at Seymour Johnson like?
Oh man, it was awesome. It's an awesome machine. And then there's awesome people also that you get to do the job with. So basically a bunch of TDYs. I can't even count how many times I went TDYs or TDY while I was in the Chiefs. And then one 6-month deployment is what it essentially completed my stint while I was there. So I mean,
Wow, what was
I
the
had a blast.
what was the deployment?
We essentially flew in Iraq and Syria.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Did you find? I mean, capable aircraft. I mean, obviously you're probably mostly focused on air to ground, close air support stuff. I mean, did you have a lot of confidence in what you were doing and the aircraft you had?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would say all the TDYs prepared me well. Even the home station training prepared me well. And to be honest with you, we did a little bit more air to air than I was expecting. We did
Really?
caps. Yeah, we did defensive counter air. We did caps. We were actually stationed out there with a C model unit, and the reason they brought the Reapers out from Lakenheath was to take some of the DCA from us because there was such a need for it where we were. So for a while I was stationed out there, while I was deployed out there, we were with the Reapers, and then they got redeployed somewhere else. So then when they did that, then it was just us, and we were doing. I mean, I would say we were flying 24-hour caps, or 24-hour
Jeez.
24-hour
Yeah.
ops, and I would
Alert.
say it
All
was
that stuff.
split
Yeah.
between air to air and air to ground. I'd say it was split.
No kidding. Wow. Well, that's a lot to do. You got a lot going on. Um, what would you say the most memorable or the highlight of your time flying the Strike Eagle was?
Oof, there's so many. Um, I think the biggest thing I remember, I'll kind of split it. I'll do like home station and then deployed. Um, the home station, I really enjoyed Nellis, right? I think
Yeah.
Nellis it's home of the fighter pilot, and
Red
it's
flag.
where you go out to just sharpen that
Hmm.
edge. And I mean, every time I came back from Nellis, I felt that much more just lethal.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I don't know
That's
another way to
awesome.
put it,
Yeah. No,
but
that's awesome. You're right. Yeah. And then on the deployed side, I mean, you're just doing the mission, man,
that's
right?
right,
I mean,
right. So you spend all that time training and honing your skills and debriefing and and you're getting your lessons learned, and then you strap on the jet, you fly to the desert, and now it's like it's time
yeah.
to do everything you've been training to do. And
Yeah.
I mean, that was awesome. We had some young wingmen that showed up just prior to the deployment that were able to get trained up and make it through the deployment. And I mean, they performed so well, and it's a tribute to the training and the process and the debriefing and the lessons learned. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Do all the job and then land to get Chiefs for not wearing a reflective belt.
right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you do that? Like, what was your time in the Strike Eagle?
It was right around 3 years. I think ACC right now they're trying to move you every 2 years and 8 months. So we were there. We got to Seymour Johnson in the summer of 2016, and we left December of 19, and that's when we showed up to Eglin.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What made you decide? Well, I mean, for those that don't know, what was next, and what was in that decision, to leave the Strike Eagle?
Yeah. Well, it was purely family based. So like I said, you're seeing the trend. So pretty
Yeah.
much ask the girls. So by this point, it's me and Brittany, it's Briley and Audrey. Those are my two daughters. So I come home from the deployment, and it's just kind of like, where do you guys want to live? Why don't you guys choose
Yeah.
next? And in unison, they're like, Florida. so so here I
Awesome.
am trying to figure out what I can fly in Florida, and T-38's at Eglin.
Yeah. So, dude, I've lived it, but and I will say, uh, you're obviously one of my favorite people from the Two Fits. Best, you're by far the best DO my entire time there. But tell me about your time there. I mean, what did you think flying the A model? You know, because this is your first, the least advanced aircraft you've ever flown, more than likely. And you know, what do you think the challenges were, the strengths, the fun? I mean, what did you think about that assignment?
So I will say it, I've FAPE was awesome, because I got to learn myself as an instructor, and the Strike Eagle was awesome because I got to learn myself, in terms of just operational.
Combat pilot, yeah. It
Yeah,
was a
that's
combat
right.
fighter pilot, yeah.
But the two fits, I think, will always be special to me. I think it's the pinnacle of my career. Being asked to be the director of operations, and I think I got to learn a lot about myself as a leader,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that I'm going to take forward with me no matter what I do. Just the leadership skills and how I was able to hone that in the two fits was it was pretty
Yeah.
special.
And for those that don't know what we do at the two fits, you know, I was at the 301st. We are attached to the two fits. We do adversary air for the F-22. So we're the bad guys, or, you know, we give them presentations to give them targets to, you know, basically practice and hone their skills. So we're training, you know, our nation's fifth gen fighters. And I think you showed up in a very big time of turmoil. You know, you talk about leadership, but you showed up when we had just completed a hurvac. You know, there was a hurricane. We moved, didn't know what was going to happen to the squadron. There was a lot of thrash and stuff. And then, you know, even to the point we didn't have a building, right? We moved to that little shack, which is
That's right.
now, you know, the home. You know, tell me about some of the leadership challenges and how, as a young guy, you know, to take command and actually, you know, start working to gain the respect and kind of start rebuilding.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, when I submitted for the job, I was actually deployed, and I
Yeah.
submitted for the job, and the description said that the unit was going to be moving to Langley, and there was a high possibility that even if I submitted for the job at Eglin, that when I got back from the deployment, I was going to rejoin with the squadron in Langley. So I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But then we show up, and I kind of feel the temperature of the room, if you will, and there's a lot of frustration. So just trying to work in, and I've always been a people person, so I immediately get
Yeah.
in and start talking to people, and learning about the squadron, learning about the history, Michael, some of the frustrations that happen with people being displaced. I mean, even to
Yeah.
this day, you still have people driving from Tyndall because
Yeah.
they
Right.
never moved, right?
Right.
So I was able to get in and talk to people. It was great. It was a great family move because now, when I'm home, I'm home,
Right. Yeah.
and I progressed through the upgrades fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And before I know it, they're asking me to be the director of operations. And this
Yeah.
this comes after they literally threw down and said, "You know what? We are moving to Langley." I distinctly remember them calling everybody to the hangar,
Yep.
right? And they're like, "All right,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to Langley. It's official, right? We're going to take everybody, as a line item. We'll figure out what's best for you and your families. But this is official. It's like
Yeah.
official. And
No
we're like,
takes
oh,
backsies. We
no
mean it
take.
this time.
That's right.
No
That's right.
takes
No,
backsies.
no take backsies, right, dude? They start giving people orders. People got orders, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, so the Langley thing.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
And you stayed there, and you're not only dealing. I mean, this is very personal to me too, because I've talked about some of my challenges with the aircraft, because you have an aircraft that's 60 years old, and nothing again. M1 is awesome. Those men and women do a great job with what they have. Those aircraft are well taken care of, and they're very clean. They're very well maintained. But you've got a 60-year-old aircraft that is not with the times, and
That's
it's
right.
got failing instruments and stuff. I mean, and you made some kind of big changes that I think really enhance safety, with this big picture perspective that you have.
That's right. That's right. So first and foremost, it's like it's the ultimate test of leadership. because it's like, hey, Spike, we want you to be the director of operations. We're gonna give you people that are upset because we told them they were leaving and now they're not.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
gonna
half. The other half is fired, and it doesn't matter what you do. The other half is fired. So
That's right.
continue.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The active duty
So,
got to stay. The reserves just got fired. So
that's
continue.
right. That's right. That's right. So you guys were what? I guess when I showed up, it was 75% reservists.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, yeah,
all the experience.
That's
All
right.
of your experience.
All the
Yeah.
experience. So we're going to cut your budget by greater than 50%. We're going to cut your manning because we're firing the reservists. And oh, by the way, the aircraft is old and it's not getting any better. And because we cut your budget,
we can't make it better either.
We can't make it better. That's right. And it's like, congratulations. Here's the tap on the butt. Make it happen.
Yeah,
So,
but that's what you have to do. I mean, that's part of being in the military, right? You have to, take the equipment you have and stuff. And one of the things that impressed me was the fact that you were able to do that. And how did it differ from being a FAPE, with students to now you're almost a super FAPE here because all the reserves are gone, and now it's just lieutenants. So I mean, you've got that dynamic as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. So. The biggest thing is, I obviously as the director of operations, I can affect change. So I think I think I was the right person for the job because I was a people person, and I tried my best to listen to everybody and their concerns. And when somebody the first time safety came out of somebody's mind, it's like, stop. What do you mean? What's going on? What's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I tried to look at it from the Swiss cheese model, where let's keep those holes from lining up.
Read backwards from the mishap report. Yeah,
that's right. So and there was a lot of times where I saw the cheese, the holes in the cheese starting to line up. So
and I will say too, to his credit, you couldn't have had a better squadron commander as well. I mean, you and Motor worked well together. So I think that synergy really helped.
It did. He's an awesome guy to work with, and he really laid back. And I really owe him for my leadership development, because he allowed me to kind of develop my own style.
To thrive. Yeah, for sure. Before we get any farther, how did you get your call sign? I know this was probably back in your Strike Eagle days. PG rated, if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely keep it PG. So, let's see. I'm a little bit older going through Strike Eagle, B course, and all that other stuff because I was a FAPE. So I'm coming in as a captain, and essentially what it comes down to is, that they wanted to play the games of, hey, make the corn, sweep the floor, which I did. But I did have a tendency to be a little sharp around the edges. So Spike stands for shit pants. I know everything. And there's there's a few stories about me. Just,
but if you know it, I mean, are you really a know-it-all if you actually know it all? I mean, if you actually if you know it, you can't be a know-it-all if you're right. Yeah. Right? I don't know. That's pretty cool. So you flew your Finney flight recently, right? About a week ago. And
that's right,
what's next for Spike?
So what's next? There's so much on the horizon. So like you said, the camaraderie in my pilot training class, I'm actually close with a lot of those guys, and we still talk. One of them, Daniel Walker, is now my business partner. We've been close all the way through our careers. He went off to fly the F-22. I went off to the Strike Eagle, and now we've rejoined in business. So we started a business, Straighten Up, Fly Right, where it's essentially centered around mentorship, active mentorship. So we're looking to basically let kids know, just like me and my story. I had no idea that being a pilot was an option for me. For some reason, I thought I either had to design them or work on them. I never knew I could fly them. So we're kind of, we're taking that out, mentoring kids, and we've got a lot of things coming down in terms of initiatives for the second half of the year. In terms, we'd love to raffle off first flights, discovery flights, and stuff like that.
Oh,
no
cool.
matter where
Yeah.
you are. Yeah. So check us out. We're gonna be doing some great things.
That's awesome. What's next for you on and the link's in the description, by the way. I just put it up on the screen, but if anybody wants to look, check it out. The website is in the description. Check it out. It'll be some cool stuff with some updates, assuming, in the not too distant future as well.
Yeah. So for me personally, we are, I asked the girls where they wanted to live and they said Florida, and now they don't want to leave, man. So we're going to stay near the water. I got hired by a major airline, so I'm going to do the airline thing. And then I am breaking out into consulting and public speaking.
Awesome. Dude, I think you can do the public speaking part, assuming that your microphone works. I don't know. We might have to just call you and figure it out. But hey, the fact that we figured this out with the phone is pretty much a testament to how we've been flying the T-38. So I think there's no better.
This is every day. My radio doesn't work, so now I'm gonna pick up the phone and call Mover.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome. So if you've got time, we're going to hand it off to the audience for some questions before. But I will ask, because you've already answered the make them tell you no thing. I think that's incredible. The fact your whole life is a make them tell you no story. What advice do you have to somebody? And I know you're going to do this in your business, so I don't want to take too much of your thunder, but just real basic, what is your advice for somebody that wants to, that sees this and says, hey, I want to be just like Spike?
I would say my advice is to try to find a mentor first and foremost. And that's what we're doing at Straighten Up and Fly Right. We're trying to mentor, right? Because if we could give you the cheat codes, wouldn't it be so much simpler if we could help you formulate a plan, come up with goals, and then come up with tasks to try to achieve those goals, rather than you trying to become successful by chance. Because I would even venture to say that I became successful by chance. What if I had never passed my friend now in the dorm wearing that shirt?
I disagree, because I think you personally would have made it happen no matter what. Like, I think Spike makes it happen regardless of chance, luck, fate. Like, I think you're the guy. But
thanks,
continue. I think that's you. But no, that is definitely valid. And I told you somebody would ask this. It's the very first question. What's your scariest moment in the jet?
Scariest moment in
any jet. Which T-38A could be every flight, but continue with.
Let me tell you. I've flown in combat in the Strike Eagle. I'm flown in T-38, but still, scariest moment in the jet is probably my fake days. So, you're in the back seat of an airplane and you got people who are trying to learn, right? And you have to try to give them as much rope as possible. I've had times where, I've been put in some pretty tough situations in the T-6, to include, the halo effect, right? I was flying one day with this kid. He's awesome. He was like #1 in the class. I think he ended up getting the first F-35 out of Columbus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Dude was good. So, I'm doing what all the Fapes do with a good student. I'm sitting back there with my hands on the rails. And, he's doing his patterns. We're in the pattern, and he's doing touch and goes. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's good. I'm marking them off on my sheet so I can get back. The grade sheet's already filled itself out. Right. So then we're coming in on this one, and he's kind of messed it up. And I gave him, 1 or 2 words, but I'm trying not to talk a lot. And he stalls the airplane. He puts the airplane in a landing attitude stall. And we are just above the ground, and the wing dips. And I just grab the controls and keep the wing from slapping the ground. And then we bounce, and the RSU is like, hey, are you guys okay? It was supposed to be a touch and go. And I just key the mic, and I'm like, we're done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, that was probably one that pops into my mind. And it was purely because I wasn't ready for it, right?
Complacency, man. Complacency will get you. It goes back to your Swiss cheese model. When you start getting complacent, that's one of the first things.
Absolutely.
Anthony asks, what is your most memorable TDY and why? Again, probably PG. There are people watching, so
Yeah,
as you,
no.
uh,
Let's see. My most memorable TDY. Again, I would probably say Nellis,
yeah,
because every fighter pilot, that's where you go to hone your skill, and that's where I've done everything, right? So I've done everything from fly my highest, fly my fastest, fly my lowest. We
yeah.
would do night terrain following through the mountains on MBGs, strung out. Yeah, dude, that was crazy. So,
Is it
um,
bunting? Is it like how is it doing ridge crossings? Is it bunting?
yeah.
Like how does
So
it?
we have it set for hard ride, and I mean you're
Oh
holding
no.
on because it would hit that mountain and it would go over the top and it would slam you down into like a negative G, and you're like holding on, and you got the
No,
stick just in case
no,
it
thank
gives
you.
you a fly
No,
up.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's gonna be a pass for me, and I would rather be in control by myself, scared on my own. Uh, Joseph would like to know what made you want, because you didn't leave the Air Force. You're still serving, right? You're still a guardsman. So I guess the question is already been answered, but continue. Uh,
Sure. No, that's a great question. So, stability, I think, for the family.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, honestly, Joseph, I love flying. So, I don't know how much you know about officer career paths. So, I'm
yeah,
at the point where the Air Force is telling me I have to leave the cockpit.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
what comes next for me is school and staff and Pentagon and like a 365 non-flying deployment, which maybe the
yeah.
conversation would be different if they would let me just continue to fly, because obviously I joined the Air Force because of my love of flying. So it's tough when
Yeah.
you kind of tell me I have to stop flying, especially when there are so many other flying jobs available, both in
Yeah,
and out of the Air Force. I mean, the guard, the reserve, I can still fly in the guard or the
the
reserve.
best kept secret is the guard, man. I'll tell you. You have a fan, Booker. You definitely would have found a way. And what is the biggest ordnance, so to speak, you have dropped in the Eagle, Strike Eagle? We're not going to call you an Eagle guy because they don't
Yeah,
talk about. You
please
can't
don't.
say the B word to an Eagle guy.
That's
No,
right. Please don't.
that'd be.
Yeah, we do real work for a living.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, Fox 3 short. Let's see. Um, we came down to the squadron came down to Eglin, and we dropped a 5,000 pound weapon. That wasn't me. Um, the largest I've dropped is 2,000 pounder. I mean, that's pretty.
yeah,
It's pretty
standard.
standard.
Yeah.
But watching that five
How?
thousand pound weapon is pretty sick.
Oh, I bet. Just I love watching things blow up. Um, I guess how is air-to-air refueling in the F-15E? I guess when you've deployed as much as you have, it's probably second nature at some point, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like anything. Learning it is new, and then you get your techniques, and once you get your techniques, and then especially when you deploy, when we were deployed, I think we would refuel probably 5 or 6 times every single sortie.
Every
So
hour on the hour, dude.
that's
Every
right.
hour on the
That's right.
hour.
So
Just something to do.
I got
Yeah.
I get my little techniques, and then it'd be
Yeah.
simple.
Just money. Would you do it again if you had to do it today?
I would. I would,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty happy with where it set me up to go next. And I don't know that if I didn't do it, I would be in the same spot to progress
Right.
forward and what's coming in the future.
Everybody asks. They ask me that too, and I say first 8 to 10 years. I don't think anybody would say no because you're just raging. You're flying. It's awesome. I think it's that 10-year point where people start to change priorities a little bit. But I think no matter what the political climate, it's still the best job in the world.
That's right. That's right.
My usual question: what plane would you love to have the chance to? I told you this one was coming, so to speak. What would you fly? Past, present, or future?
Uh, let's see. Would I?
Somebody said, "Here's the."
Yeah. Uh, Dude, I think I'd love to fly the SR-71.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think the SR-71 would be I think it's pretty cool hearing all the stories of just getting shot at and thumbing your nose because you're just
Yeah,
flying so
outrunning him.
fast.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. That is awesome. Shady J is not too far from the depot. Did you get a chance to fly an E model cross country slick with no CFTs?
I did.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
Did you get to fight with
Solo.
a slick one?
Solo.
Oh, solo. No, I mean, did you even know how to change the radio by the time you were solo? I mean, what do you do?
I could change the radio, but I couldn't do the navigation stuff. I just
Request direct destination.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. So they took off the CFTs. They took out a lot of the radios and the avionics. They took out the gun. It was really light. It was super light. Yeah.
I bet it had some nose authority.
Oh man, I did an unrestricted climb and may or may not have made my level off.
Allegedly. We don't. Allegedly, whoever's watching, statute of limitations and all that. Brittany says Beechcraft Bonanza. So I guess that was what aircraft would you fly? I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think
she's shedding some light on.
She's saying Beechcraft Bonanza. Is that the next?
Is
that the next airplane? Airplane for the Booker family. What is the fastest you've done?
Oh, you can get above the Mach.
No, have you? What's your personal best? Is what the nappy?
Man, I don't remember. It was above the Mach, but I don't remember the point number. 1 point.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're a close family. You're. That's the. Let's see here. Let me get back to the questions. This one's just a comment. In Afghanistan, Mr. Gun Flores has been on the channel before. He's an Apache pilot. I witnessed 7 2,000-pound JDAMs on a ridgeline for a show of force. Pretty awesome. They came from a buff. God, that's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Noel says you need to get into a helo now. We've talked about this. It's not you. It's not you.
No, but I think Brittany's gonna go first. I think that's what you and I came to the agreement. And then if you bring her back safe, then maybe I'll go flying with you.
Ah, dude, we bring all the bookers all at once. It's fine. It'll be fine. One. Spike, if you had the chance, would you fly a P-51?
100%. 100%. If I can find one, this is what we need to do, Mover. We need to get the Nat Geo channel or somebody to give us one, and then we can just do stints on your channel about restoring it.
I'm in, dude. I don't even want to restore it. We'll just fly it around and restore its glory.
We'll good.
Restore its glory by flying it for people. Let's see. How cool do you think the Tomcat is? Tomcats.
I mean, it was pulling Top Gun.
Yeah, it was. Let's see here. Let's see. What does the Major think about the future of unmanned fighter aircraft?
I think there is a lot of capability there. I don't think you will ever see, and this is just my opinion, a complete unmanned fighter aircraft, with no person. But what I can see maybe is an unmanned combat wingman, which would be awesome, right? Because now as a flight lead, I can make decisions to maybe send the wingman in to do something that's super dangerous.
Let him go. Bonsai.
That's right. Yeah.
Let him go.
Go get it.
Let him go get after
it.
Let me know how it goes.
That's right.
Good luck.
That's right.
Actually, don't lie. We do that with our lieutenants anyway. I mean, just you guys. They actually just do it on their own, right? You get the hubcap. Ding, 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 ding. They end up, let's see here. Sorry, I lost myself in the chat. This is just a F-22 or F-35, I guess. I don't know. Do you have an opinion on either of those? You've fought both of them. I mean,
I have.
They're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends for what, I would never want to have. I was deployed and there were F-22s in the stack. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, so this one's a little bit, I guess, more sensitive, but Um, do you find other black fighter pilots increasingly rare?
Well, it's not sensitive. No, please. I welcome these questions. Um, a lot of times I am the only one,
Yeah,
right? Even when you walk around the two fits, the 301st, you know,
yeah,
when you look at the pictures of me with the squadron and stuff like that. When I was in the chief, there was another one, and that was the only time. Other than that, yeah, it's a rare thing. So rare that when I'm out and I'm in uniform, you know, I get stopped quite a bit.
really.
I do.
Now, is that part of your outreach? I mean, with your new company, is that kind of something you're kind of just to show, like, hey, look, it can be done. You know, I encourage you, you know, for these opportunities.
Yes, yeah, that is part of it. Um, I think, you know, obviously if they see me, they can be me. So it's
Right. Oh,
one
I like
thing.
that. That's a good one. Yeah,
It's one
I like
thing
that.
if you know, no offense, mover, but you know, if you go to a school and it's like, yeah, you know, that was me, right? I had people coming
Hmm.
to tell me what I could be, and it's just kind of like, I don't really know, you know. But then um, you know, if I go out or if some of the other, you know, African American pilots that I know go out and it's like the kids perk up a little bit more because, you know, you're talking to struggles that they have been through or struggles that are similar. Um, and it's not that, you know, I hear this all the time. It's not that you know, the bar is being lowered
Right.
because I don't think the bar was lowered for me in any shape or form. I had to fight to be where I am. But the difference is that there are a lot of people out there that don't know that this is an option. They just have
Yeah.
no idea.
Do you think, you know, we talked about it earlier about having very supportive parents. Do you think that is a key factor is knowing that the opportunity exists, but then having the support network behind you?
100%, 100%. So I talk a lot about the yes moment, and
Yeah.
one thing that I like to say is that you know my parents, they were there for me in my yes moment. Every kid has a yes moment. They have a few actually, and the
Yeah.
difference in yes or no from the parent or the parents or the caretaker is that could possibly shape the rest of their life. You
Yeah.
know, telling them no because you know we don't do that, or you know how are you
Right.
going to do that? How am I going to pay for that, or whatever? You know that could shut down that kid for forever. Not necessarily saying that you have to say yes to everything. Obviously, I'm a father now and I have two daughters, but um,
Oh, they're watching. They're what Dad said.
I
You
know.
can never say no
They're taking
again.
notes. They're taking notes right
They're
now.
gonna be replaying this clip to you
I know. I
of
know.
Dad saying yes all the time.
I know. But you know,
Uh,
I think it's
yeah.
important. The support network is super important.
Here's one. Has Spike written a book?
Not yet.
And it needs to be happening soon. I'm assuming it's in the works. Maybe eventually. We hope.
Allegedly.
We will not. We will not say. Psych prof says it's easy to underestimate what a big deal if they can see me, they can be me is, and I agree with that. I mean, I think that applies for everything, right? I mean, not just in teaching in general. You know, if you can show that you can do something, it gives everybody, you know, hope. Don't you? Don't you think?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So
Uh,
you know, I just that's again with straighten up, fly right. That's part of the we're trying to lift as we climb. Just to you know
yeah,
always turn
and that
around and never forget where we came from.
that's Tommy's question. List the company name, NITA's outreach for aviation program for high schoolers. So that link is in the description, and that's exactly what you're doing, right? I mean,
That's right.
that's your target audiences.
That's right.
Here, going back to tactical stuff, what was the most challenging aspect of learning to fly the Mud Hen outside of systems?
Um, for me, I would say the most challenging part was just thinking three dimensional and how things are changing very quickly.
Yeah,
So yeah, you already listed systems. So you know, working the radar, working the pod, working all the different things, working with the Wizzo and the back, working with the other formation members, but then also you are just one side of the equation. There's a whole nother side of the equation that has a vote in the outcome of everything that's happening. So having to continually think that quickly all the time and how things are changing and something's not going your way, how are you going to react? I had to basically move into a whole nother level of airmanship, essentially.
Did you find the two foots having to do all that essay with 16 aircraft and no sensors? Did that bring it up to a new level?
um, no, honestly, I would say it wasn't. It was different,
Yeah.
but I think because it was the B course, F-22 B course, it even it was still kind of watered down. It was basic. So I
Right.
didn't feel like when I left the striking level, got to the T-38 and we're doing the ad air, that it was, it obviously the big thing for me was I knew where I wanted the jet to go, but it wouldn't go there.
You
So,
couldn't get there fast enough. I'm out
you
of
know,
gas.
that's
I'm
right.
out of
That's right.
gas.
I'd be wanting to go somewhere and I'd stall it because it wouldn't go there. And then I would want certain pieces of information to affect, my flight leadership or the dynamic of the
Right.
battle space, and I couldn't have it.
Right. Yeah.
So
What advice do you have for student and pilot training, IFT, UPT, or IFF, to be successful?
stay in the books, and it's a teamwork makes the dream work. So study groups help me, and then man, come up with goals. I'm a big goal person. Set some goals, try to achieve them, and realize that yes, your overall end goal is going to be to get whatever airplane you want, but
Yeah.
you gotta it's one day at a time, one step at a time, one test at a time. So you put all that stuff together, every quiz, every test, every check ride, and then that's how you get what you want out of whatever you're doing in life. So that would be my
That's
advice.
that's awesome. Do you have any funny training moments?
Funny training moments.
I think in this sense, training means anything really, like anything non-combat, even combat. Do you have any funny flying stories?
Um, not none that
I
come
can't
off
think
the.
of one off the top
Yeah,
of my noggin. I mean, that's tough. That's tough to be put on the spot like that. Which I'm glad it's you and not me.
yeah. No, I mean, obviously when you're sitting around talking, they come out because it's like you remember the time,
Yeah,
But
anything flying with Gonky is
yeah,
probably a funny story.
yeah,
He thought sea snakes was an actual thing. Like when people would say sea snakes, he's
sea
like, "Is it
snakes.
because of the snakes?" Yeah.
Yeah.
We can come back to that one.
Okay.
Would you consider command?
Yes.
Okay, easy. What do you think of the new EX?
I honestly I like the fact that they are taking something that's proven and making it better rather than trying to go for a whole new weapon system.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
No,
think
that's
Eglant's got what, one or two now.
yeah, yeah. Seen a couple in the pattern.
Yeah. So I like that idea, and with the you power it correctly, and the thing's a beast.
Everything is better with more power. What was your favorite part of learning to fly?
My favorite part of learning to fly, for me, it was just having the passion of aviation and then being airborne and realizing it, right?
Yeah,
Realizing my passion. Like I said, anytime I was airborne, and then especially in the Strike Eagle, I'm sitting in front of that much airplane. And essentially, that was probably the most high performance, no, not probably, it was the most high performance airplane I've ever flown. So, wherever,
T-38A, dude. You don't get any better than that hot rod.
wherever I wanted to go, it would take me there. And then, I get to the T-38A with the same mindset, and it's not happening.
Did you give your students advice on how to work with the maintainers? That's a good question.
That
I
is a
mean, have
good
you,
question. I so I can't really say that I gave them advice on how to work with maintainers. I just would hope that they saw my interaction with the
yeah.
maintainers, and
If you can see me, you can be me.
eh,
Yeah,
yeah, and I always felt like I had a really good rapport with maintenance.
for sure.
Even in the Strike Eagle, man, those guys worked so hard, and really when we deployed, it was awesome. We've got videos of them wearing the flag bandanas and ushering us out to music, and they'd all line up and do something crazy as we're taxiing out. Like it
Yeah.
was part of the they were part of the team. So
This one, did you see the Wizzo as a benefit? or a hindrance?
Definitely has a benefit. You know,
Yeah,
I get it. There's going to be a lot of CNC
well,
drivers out there, and
yeah. I
movers
mean,
going to
it's
have jokes. But let me tell you, man, when you're, you know, you're on one radio and they're on a whole nother radio, and there'd be days where, or there'd be times where, you know, and we're in the thick of it, and we're not even talking. I'm talking on one radio, they're talking on another radio. You know, especially like in a red flag bowl where, you know, I'm fighting air to air and they're talking to a JTAC on the ground and they're putting in coordinates and they're like, "Hey, bomb's yours." And I could literally like shoot a missile and drop a bomb literally at the, you know, within a split second of each other, and we're fighting air to air and air to ground at the same time. Mover can't do that. He can't.
I can absolutely do that. Yeah, it's a dogfight switch. You go outboard, inboard. It's really easy, dude. It's my thumb. My thumb does all of that. But I digress. Anyway, I do. I would say I'd rather have the extra gas, but I don't think we'd ever have as much gas as a Strike Eagle. So I can't. I can never talk trash to a Strike Eagle guy. Let's see. Oh, did you go back to that school counselor and show her your success? Dude, that's like a movie moment. Bam!
I know. That would have been sweet. I never
Send
did.
her the link to this.
I know.
She probably watches.
I never did. Nope. I kept it moving.
You can't. I mean, you can't be. I mean, unless you're trying to inspire them. I mean, you can't be petty.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
can't.
I could argue then, did I do it for the right or the wrong reason at that point? You know, so
Yeah. I think you did great. Well, Spike, it has been a pleasure and it's been an honor. Thank you for flexing to this magical comm system that we've developed. Now I know immediately what to do for the next time that this happens. What parting shots, man? What do you have? Anything you want to talk about? Any stories? Any kind of advice you have for the kids at home before we wrap this up?
Yeah, no stories or anything. I like to say thank you to you and the fans for having me on. I really appreciate it, having me on the channel. To all the kids at home, man, you guys have so much potential that you don't know yet, and it just really takes something to unlock it. So keep doing great, and realize all you gotta do is set a few goals, achieve a few goals, make them small day by day, and then before you know, you look behind you and you're like, wow, how on earth did I end up, in UPT flying the Strike Eagle, talking to Mover on a YouTube channel,
or the Viper, or some cool A10, something cool. All right, yeah, I got you. Continue. Sorry.
yeah, but that's all I got, man.
Dude, I just like your debrief, short and sweet. I appreciate it. Dude, I look forward to seeing great things from you. I think Straight Up Fly Right's an awesome idea. If I can help in any way, please let me know. We can get information out as much as possible. Looking forward to seeing the other stuff you're working on. I mean, dude,
Thanks.
you're a busy man. You don't just do one thing, you do about 12, which I can relate to. That's awesome. But thank you for telling your story, and thank you for your inspiration, because I'm hoping some kid sees this and is like, if you can see me, you can be me, right?
That's
Am
right.
I getting it right?
That's
yeah,
right.
so they can be you from seeing this. So thanks so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you on the next one. Good night, everybody.